Okay, so today I wanted to give you guys a full tutorial on how to use the Trading 212 app for those of you guys looking to get started out investing throughout the course of this year, along with those of you guys who are potentially looking to switch your ISA provider for the 2024-2025 tax year. I'll talk about all of the key features on the app, including how to buy and sell shares. I'll cover a little bit about my investment portfolio too. We'll discuss Trading 212 Pies and how to actually automate your investments as well. So with that being said, let's dive into it. There are many different investment apps out there, but why exactly do I personally use Trading 212? Well, firstly, they're a commission-free investment app who are regulated by the FCA and have client fund protection by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. They're very much held to the high regulatory standards as the UK banking sector, so because of that, they're certainly a company that I can trust with my money. Not only do I trust them, but also over 2.5 million other people trust them too, with over £3.5 billion worth of client assets, and an excellent Trustpilot score to go with that too. I've been using Trading 212 since about 2020, and in my personal opinion, I think they're one of the best in the business, so because of that, I'm going to continue to use them for the coming tax year ahead as well. So that said, now let me dive into the app and I'll show you around. So when you first log into the Trading 212 app, it brings up the portfolio tab, which shows you your portfolio and its overall performance. But there's a lot going on here, so let me explain feature by feature. Firstly, I'm going to click on the drop down menu at the top of the screen, because firstly, I want to touch upon account types. Now, for me personally, I use the Trading 212 ISA account, which you can see is the orange icon at the top right-hand side of your screen. Now, an ISA account is also known as a stocks and shares ISA account and is essentially a tax-efficient way of investing if you're over here in the UK. Actually, you're allowed to invest up to £20,000 per tax year, completely free of capital gains tax. However, it is worthwhile me saying that you can only invest into one stocks and shares ISA account per tax year, so just be mindful of that as we kind of enter into the new tax year come April. The other type of account that we have is the Trading 212 Invest account. Now, the Trading 212 Invest account has the exact same functionality as the Trading 212 ISA account. The major difference here being that in the Invest account, you will be liable to pay capital gains tax on any investments that you've made if you're above the capital gains tax threshold. Now, you may be wondering, well, why would you even use the Invest account if you can use a tax-efficient ISA account instead? Well, the reality is if you are one of these investors that has a lot of money at your disposal and you can invest more than £20,000 per tax year, well, the Invest account is absolutely uncapped in terms of how much you can invest per year. So it all very much comes down to your own personal circumstances. I obviously won't tell you which account to use, but for me personally, the Trading 212 ISA account works the best. Now, the next thing that I want to touch upon is the free shares. Now, if you go into the bottom three dashes at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, if you go and use promo code and you enter the code Mitch, you will also be eligible to get one free share valued up to £100 when you click on the link down in the description below. Now, once you've opened your account, the key thing that I wanted to tell you is not only will you have been able to claim your free share from using that link, but you'll also then get your own link, which you'll also be able to share with friends and family too. Meaning when they open an account with Trading 212 using your link, you and them will also get one free additional share valued up to £100 as well. So it's free money, and what's not to like about getting free cash? So be sure to click on that link and get signed up to a Trading 212 account. Now, once you've actually signed up and got yourself an account, the next thing that you're going to want to do is obviously deposit some funds into it in order to get your investment journey started. And to do that, if you just click on the little drop down at the top of your screen, you'll be able to see a big button that says deposit funds. You can set up a bank account that you want to deposit the money from. And today I'm going to click into my account and I'm going to deposit just £100 just for the purpose of example for today's video. And I've just authorized that with my bank, and as you can see, it says deposit successful. And then when we go back into the free funds, you can see I now have £383 in free funds in the account. Now, once you've got those free funds available, there's two things that you can then go on to do. The first one being is you can activate something called an earn interest on cash feature, which I currently have activated, which will get you up to 5.2% if you have Great British pounds held in your account in interest, which is paid every single day. If you're depositing in euros, it's 4.1%, and if you're depositing in US dollars, it's 5.1%. Now, you do have to activate this feature, so for me, I can obviously click don't pay me interest, but I've obviously activated it already, so you will have the option to activate your interest in order to get paid that same amount too. Now, this interest comes from investing in something called a money market fund, and I'm going to leave a link to a video which I made on that down in the description below for you guys to check out too. So it's another good way to earn interest on your money without having to do anything whatsoever. Now, obviously, the next thing that you're obviously then going to want to think about is actually then going on to invest your money. Now, at this point, I am going to assume that you've done all of your due diligence, you've done all of your research, and you're ready and prepared and fully acknowledge the risks of investing and what you actually want to invest into. Because do bear in mind, when you are investing, the value of your investments can go up as well as down. So do bear that in mind too. There are a handful of ways that you can actually invest on the Trading 212 app. So let me show you a few of them. Firstly, if you go onto the home screen, you'll then see an option at the top of your screen which says invest automatically with ready-made pies. Now, if I click into create pie, I've then got two options to play with. We've then got choose a ready-made pie or build a custom pie. Now, just for the purpose of example, if we go on to a ready-made pie, you can then see we've got two options. We've then got model pies, which are pies which have been created by fund managers, which have got all of the different asset allocation already built into them. And then you've got community pies too. Now, the community pies are those from people in the Trading 212 community where you can literally copy and paste their portfolio as it is presented. However, I would always recommend that you stay somewhat accountable for the investments that you make. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend going and investing into a random pie that some random person on the internet has put on the Trading 212 community page. With the model pies, however, these are managed by professional fund managers, so you have a little bit more assurance from that perspective. You can see they're all kind of covering different things from tech, ESG. You got a multi-thematic one, which looks like it's in a variety of different industries or exposure to a variety of different industries. And then you've got the Wisdom Tree core portfolio, which I'm just going to click on just for the purpose of example. You can then see its composition, so it's made up of lots of different other ETFs as well, which you can see. And then in the overview tab, you can actually change your overall exposure based on your personal risk appetite. So as of right now, you can see that the fund is based on a moderate classification with a different exposure to equity, bonds, and commodities. If you want to go more conservative, it will increase your exposure to bonds being the lower risk asset class. Or if you want to go aggressive, it would increase your exposure to equities and reduce your exposure to bonds because equities are the high risk asset class in this case. Now, if you're happy with that, you can then go on to select the pie. You can then confirm the holdings within it and that you're happy. And then you can go through the final few steps in this process and start investing into this specific investment portfolio. Now, for me personally, I do mine a little bit differently. I prefer to manually do everything on my investment portfolio instead. So to do that and to search for all of the 13,000 different instruments on the Trading 212 app, if you go onto the little search magnifying glass at the bottom of your screen, you'll then be able to search all of the different ETFs and individual stocks on the platform. You can search for all of the different categories, all of the different industries, lots of different things on this feature itself. But let's just say, for the purpose of example, we're interested in looking at Apple stock. You can see everything here in terms of the price of Apple stock, its overall historical performance on different time frames. You can also scroll down and it's got a little news feature tab, which updates by the hour by the looks of things on all of the different most recent news going on with Apple stock that's been reported. You can see your overall position as well in the company if indeed you have one. And then further down, you can also see the key ratios. So it shows you things like the price to earnings ratio, the earnings per share, Apple's stock beta, which is 1.29, a dividend yield, market cap, and revenue. And then if you click through to more ratios when you're doing your due diligence, it gives you lots of other information in order to assess the overall value of the stock and whether it's an investment that you want to make or not. So let's say, for example, that you did want to go in and buy a stock. Well, you can either do that through the search icon, as I've showed you guys, or if you've got a portfolio that's already made and already built like I have, well, for the purpose of this example, I'm going to invest a little bit more into the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. And today, if I click on the buy icon, you can then see I've got a number of different options in terms of making an investment. Now, the first option at the top of the screen is a market order, and this is just a live execution at current market prices or the next fulfillment time for this specific ETF. And in order to do that, I can either select by number of shares that I want to buy, so I can either buy one whole share, I can either buy a fraction of a share by buying 0.5 of a share, or I can do it by value instead. And instead, I can invest, if I've just got £100 to invest, I can just invest that £100 and get 1.302 of a share instead. Then the second option that you have is a limit order. These are the two most popular ones that most people use. And again, you can select the number of shares that you want, and then you can select a price that you would like to pay for that specific stock or ETF. So say, for example, the Vanguard VUSA trades at £76.80, But let's say we didn't want to buy it until the price was down at £75. It means that we could wait for the market to go down to that price level, and then it would automatically execute at that price in order for you to get a little bit of a discount. Now, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on your overall investment strategy and how you want to try and play the markets. For me personally, I just do a market live order. So for the purpose of example, we're going to get one share for £76.80, and then I'm going to send that buy order to the market, and that will be executed, or has been executed straight away and added to my portfolio. So I now have 170 shares in total, valued at £13,056. Now, if, say, for example, I wanted to sell my shares, you can obviously do that by clicking the sell button and withdrawing the cash. And I can sell all 170 shares, or I can just sell a handful of them. But because I'm a long-term investor, I'm not going to show you an example of this, because I'm going to keep hold of all of the investments I've made for at least the next 5, 10, maybe even longer years. Just so I can build up my portfolio, hopefully into the multi-six figures. But if you did go and sell your shares for whatever reason, the proceeds of which will just appear back in your free funds section, and then you can choose to either withdraw those funds or obviously reinvest them, depending on what you want to do. The next thing that I wanted to touch upon is my own personal portfolio and the asset allocation within it, which you can select at the bottom of the screen, and you can see the overall distribution of funds, if you like, the total value of your portfolio based on each of the individual investments. So for me personally right now, my Vanguard S&P 500 position is by far the biggest, followed by fairly closely aligned Apple, Meta platforms, and advanced micro devices. And then we've got slightly smaller positions in Amazon and Tesla, and then an even more speculative, much smaller position in a company called Palantir Technologies. Now, obviously, my asset allocation fluctuates pretty much day by day as market pricing changes for each of these individual stocks. For AMD and Meta platforms, if I just flip back to the portfolio tab, you can see they're up 152% and 93% respectively. So because of that, they've most recently gained quite a lot of the overall asset allocation within my portfolio, and therefore it gives me a bit of an opportunity or a bit of a visual cue that I could potentially look to rebalance some of my portfolio if I believe those positions were too big within my overall asset allocation. So super useful for those that want to take more of an active approach to their investments and rebalance their portfolio, perhaps on a quarterly or perhaps even on an annual basis. Now, if you are interested in using Trading 212 and all of the features, then you can actually do a portfolio transfer now, whereby if you want to use Trading 212 for the new tax year, but you've got an ISA held somewhere else, you can actually get started with a portfolio transfer. And you can select the broker that you're currently with, depending on who that is. I'm not going to obviously go through the steps today, but another account that I have is with Vanguard. If I select that, you can enter your account information, probably go through a few more steps, and that transfer will be completed. So it's great to keep all of your investments in one place, but if you do want to use the Trading 212 app, as I've said, be sure to click on that link down in the description below, where you get one free share valued up to £100 in order to help you get started. Now, if you are interested in the best investments that you can make based on data-backed analysis, then be sure to click on this video next. Be sure to subscribe to the channel on your way out. With that being said, I'll see you over in the next one.